Hey everybody, welcome to Subs Live, Dubs Live, a comprehensive anime podcast. It's your boy Versace Vegeta,
It's your boy D, man.
man, and we're really excited to get into this week's episode because this is going to be our first comprehensive look at the Dragon Ball movies, specifically Dragon Ball Movie 1, The Curse of the Blood Rubies, Dragon Ball Movie 2, The Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle, and Dragon Ball Movie 3, A Mystical Great Adventure.
Yes. All great movies.
Very great.
Underrated to a degree, my
And,
opinion.
and you know what, D? Honestly, I feel like these movies are so underrated to a point where we could say they're slept on.
Yeah, they're literally. I don't see that much discussion about any of these movies, and I understand why.
Yeah.
Don't want to getting too detailed to why, but we all know like Dragon Ball is not necessarily the original Dragon Ball. Like Goku as a kid, Dragon Ball. It's not something that's really hyped or talked about in the West around here.
Yeah, man. And, you know, all that has to do with the fact that, of course, we started with Dragon Ball Z in the West and then got Dragon Ball a few years later. Now, Dragon Ball did have some exposure in the West in the 90s before Dragon Ball Z was major, but you had to be into anime to know what you were looking for, you know? So, can't really say too many people saw the 95 dub release.
Yeah, you really had to know what you were searching for. It's not like it didn't fall on your lap. You were probably actively searching for an anime in order to most likely see this.
So you know, just to give a little background on that, you know, we understand why these aren't such a big focus, but that's why we're here. We want to just go over just a little bit of information on them, let y'all know what, you know, a little bit of what they're about, and then go into the not so common info. So let's get started, dog. You ready?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool, man. So let's start off. We got Dragon Ball: The Curse of the Blood Rubies, also known as in Japan, Dragon Ball: The Legend of Shenlong. This was the very first movie released in December of 1986 over in Japan. It came out in 1995 in the States with a very uncommon dub. Yeah. When this was aired in Japan, it was part of the Toei Cartoon Festival, which we'll be discussing every single one of these movies is. But as far as getting a taste for what was out at the time along with these, this movie came out with two movies, which were from the Gegege no Kitaro series and Kinnikuman. So that gives you a really good idea of what the vibe of anime was like at the time.
Yeah, you were getting the cream of the crop back then.
For real, man. And like, you know, all three of those franchises, I mean, Kitaro, I think that the new anime for that is about to end soon. And that was the show that took the time slot for Dragon Ball Super. So, you know, this is just showing you how deep in the waters Toei is with their franchises. You know, like they have no problem with going back to the legendary well every now and again. And then of course Kinnikuman, a very famous action anime back in the 80s and 90s. Really dope pro wrestling anime. If you've never seen it, I think I can speak for the both of us in saying that we recommend it highly.
Please watch it. Not only even if you're not a pro wrestling fan, like if you want a good gag to watch, please give Kinnikuman a try. You'll enjoy it. It's hilarious.
Exactly, dude. So just a brief synopsis, man. This first movie, it's about the great King Gurumes. He's searching for the Dragon Balls in order to put a stop to his endless hunger. A girl named Pansy, who lives in the village that he rules over, has had enough of him ruling over their area and is seeking out Master Roshi for assistance. Yes. Can Goku and the crew stop King Gurumes and his army?
Yeah, you're prototypical.
Yeah,
Dragon Ball plot.
And, you know, really what I like about this movie is, and I will say that about all three of the Dragon Ball movies, is this is what sets the prototype for what Dragon Ball Z movies are like, in the sense that If you go back and watch Dragon Ball Z movies, you can tell that they're kind of based on a certain point in time of the show, but they're a different retelling of that moment in time.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball movies, however, are a retelling of a very specific arc individually. What we're looking at here is Curse of the Blood Rubies is a retelling of episodes 1 through 13 of Dragon Ball. So we're talking about Goku meeting Bulma, meeting Yamcha, Oolong, Puar, Roshi, even so far as to Gurumes and his two lackeys. What? Pasta and Bongo? Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all stand-ins for Pilaf and Mai and the dog whose name I can't remember. Shu. Shu. This is why we were both here. One of us is going to remember something the other one doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're definitely stand-ins for Pilaf, Mai, and Shu, which is pretty cool, man, because, we see that it's a really, it captures the feel of your 80s anime adventure movies, specifically that sort of Miyazaki sort of vibe, right? I would even say that a lot of the scenes in this, in the designs remind me of Castle in the Sky.
Yeah, right. When you really bring that up, it does. You can tell from the cinematography.
Yeah,
it really does remind you.
And it's always interesting to see how these movies are presented between the West and or the American dub, or wherever you're from, and compared to the Japanese dub, right? A lot of stuff gets changed throughout just the context of the movie, right? And without going into too much, because we don't really want to rag on Funimation. I get why they would change things for censorship and context, but just to give you a little taste about how dubs lie, man. In the beginning, you got King Gurumes straight up says that in the dub he's just gluttonous, bro. He just wants to eat, whereas in the original Japanese dub it's a bit more nuanced, where he's somebody who only can eat rare delicacies.
Exactly.
Right? And we find out later in the movie it's because he's been swallowing the Dragon Balls, and it's turned him into a monster, which a concept that we don't see brought back into Dragon Ball as a whole until much later on.
Way later on.
But it's cool to see how Toei had a well of that's a good idea, and that's a good idea, and that's a good idea, and we can reuse that somewhere down the line, right? So that's what I mean. These movies are really dope prototypes for what we would be used to with Dragon Ball Z movies, man. What were your feels when you first saw this back in the day?
I'm not gonna lie. It's as a youngin, it took a while for me to get over the fact that this was basically a retelling of the first arc.
Yeah.
So as far as the movie goes, it's interesting, entertaining, but looking back, when I was a youngin, I really wasn't too fond, and I didn't really appreciate the movie until I got older, because I was already hip with Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
So I really didn't want to see Dragon Ball being told to me over and over again. I knew about Emperor Pilaf.
Yeah.
So bringing in a new guy to basically be his replacement, it was meh. I did however, that they sped up a lot of things in their little retelling.
Oh, for sure.
Because my attention span as a kid was terrible.
As was all of ours.
Yeah, it was terrible. So certain things that I think are important should be jumped right into, and the things that are bleh should be thrown away to the side. I mean, I know folks want nuance and they want backdrop, etc., but as a kid, I was more of the you'll show me the important parts.
Yeah.
And this movie did that. It was a little rush. It was a big rush into everything. It made sure that it covered what it wanted to cover for its little retelling.
And
It,
that's another thing, man. Is it in that retelling? It covers some beats from the show in
yeah,
a new way that still gets apart the point that they were trying to deliver to you, right? Like for instance, when Master Roshi's home gets destroyed by the submarine from Guru Mess's army, right? He then launches the Kamehameha for the first time at that sub.
yeah.
Goku sees that
Goku
and goes, "How
sees
do you teach me that?" We get the same little "it takes 50 years"
it.
statement, and then Goku, while he's on Roshi's island, does it for the first time.
He does. And it's nice little, and I actually like that. I liked it that way. To be honest, it was cool.
Yeah,
It
man.
was really dope.
Like, rushing those beats for the show in this didn't come off as a detriment to the movie for me.
Yeah, it didn't. It's not. It what when you looking, you go back and you watch this movie. It you could see for what it was. They did a pretty good damn job.
They
They
did.
did.
They did. I can definitely agree with that one. Even to the point of making some characters more impressive because that was the whole cast that we had at the time. My
Yeah,
man's Yamcha gets blasted 7 times by
yeah.
Pasta, and he just
He's
gets up and starts fighting.
he's eating bullets. He's eating bullets.
Like both Goku and Yamcha ate bullets in this, and it was nothing, dog. Like I was impressed by the fact that they really got those characters pretty strongly delivered, man.
Yeah, Yamcha really did get a good showing. He got his licks in,
He did.
especially on Goku.
Oh yeah,
He
dude.
got
Dude, that the time where they first meet up and fight, and he gets in the Wolfang fist, he goes the fuck in,
he
bro.
just starts throwing them on Goku. Goku's eating them, and of course we know Goku is basically half incapacitated because he's hungry, and we all know as well. Maybe folks may not know since it's not really wasn't really the thing in Dragon Ball Z. But when Goku is essentially hungry in Dragon Ball, he's pretty much useless.
Yeah,
he can't do shit. He
yeah.
can't.
Hungry Goku is like the original, like, oh no, my tail is gone,
Yeah,
Goku. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
He's
To the sense of like, yeah, like that's his ultimate weakness. The moment he's hungry, he can't do a damn thing in a fight. He's just utterly useless. So I like that sort of pull in here. Outside of just really like those exciting moments, a few things I thought were really interesting. Of course, if you don't know already, every name in Dragon Ball is a pun.
Yeah, it
right?
is.
So, gourmet, because he
Gourmet
loves food, right? His
pasta.
lackey is pasta, and even Bongo, right? He gets his name from the Italian dish spaghetti alle vongole,
Whoa.
spaghetti and clams. So, bongo, bongore, you know what I mean? Like that whole sort of thing, bro. Like, I love that there's always going to be a way to fit in a pun
like
into names in Dragon Ball. Like every
every
arc, every single arc ever.
Every single arc. And they're the most funniest of puns.
Yes. It really, learning Japanese is knowing that everything you love is a pun.
Exactly.
Like the Japanese are the kings of the dad joke. So really, really thought that was hilarious that they were already on that wave here. There was a few other things that stood out, right? Like Pasta's Jeep looked a lot like the Jeep. Yeah. Okay, you caught that too.
Yeah, I knew. I caught it. It threw me off.
Yeah, the little Bruce Lee Jeep. I was like, yo, but that's Dragon Ball for you, dude.
Yeah,
like,
it's a nice little homage.
All that homage, and this is not even going to be the only Bruce Lee homage that we go over today, but yeah, man, really cool shit there. I dug how Bulma basically threw the Dragon Ball in old boy's mouth to get the
Yeah.
dragon because he had all of the other six. Just a lot of
Yeah.
creativity in this movie,
Yeah.
man.
They did their thing. They did their thing. Like I have to credit Toei for their move for Dragon Ball for their movies. 1 through 3. It is some entertaining retelling. Folks can't you can't like I, though the first may be a little bit random. If you go back and watch, it may be a little bit random,
Yeah.
but it's entertaining nonetheless.
And
Toei
if
is going
you
to give you entertainment before anything.
That's so true.
That's their priority. They're going to entertain. If it's not entertaining, they're going to change. They're not sticking with, hey, this is not working well with the audience. Let's keep it going. No, they change. If it's not like they changed or it's getting canceled, that's Toei's philosophy.
That's
We
true.
all know that.
That's true. I mean, look at how One Piece has stood the test of time as an aside on that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I would say personally, if you're a really big fan of like early Dragon Ball, give this a watch because especially if you're familiar with how Dragon Ball starts, it's a really good way to get a different take on those events while not missing the gist of what they were trying to get across to you. A really, really big fan of Curse of the Blood Rubies. So as we leave that there in as a etched in history sort of brief synopsis and overview, we can go into the Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle,
Whoop
which
whoop.
was released in 1987 in Japan and came out in 98 in the States. What's your take on this?
This is the best movie out the three, in my opinion. Of course, this is every bit of action, every bit of every bit of comedy. It has a mix. It's perfect. I haven't told folks this, but Dragon Ball, it really picked like if you're let's all right. Dragon Ball first arc, it's cool, really good. I feel Dragon Ball really picks up when Goku starts to train with Roshi
Yeah,
and they introduce Krillin. Like Krillin and Goku, the pairing of Goku and Krillin, they are two hilarious guys. Flat out
really.
hilarious. They're entertaining, both competitive in this movie and in general. And they did everything perfect. Trust me. We give you a little synopsis of the movie. You know, you're gonna realize like, yeah, this is probably super slept on amongst the community,
I would
and
agree.
they should probably check this out for if you want to laugh, if you want a bit of action, this movie has it. It does. Go ahead, give it a chance.
I
Trust
w- yeah, yeah. I can't help but co-sign all of that. It's a really fun take on, when Roshi trains Krillin and Goku, and again, just continuing with how the last movie was. This part is now a retelling of episodes. I want to say it was 20. No, I'm sorry. No, I was thinking about the chapters 14 through 18 of the original Dragon Ball series, right? So,
me.
like, this is something where it starts off Krillin and Goku training or Krillin and Goku both having met up on Roshi's Island, and it kind of takes on its own little adventure from there. And if you haven't seen it, basically, Roshi sends Goku and Krillin on a quest to a castle at the Devil's Hand. They're going to be able to find a legendary sleeping princess there, and whoever brings back the princess will become a student. So, as that retelling, it's just like whenever he sent them out to go find a beautiful girl, and then they wind up bringing Launch, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's just now they are sent on a quest to a castle to go find a princess. What I found pretty funny about that though, the dub really kind of changed that all around. Where like, his whole challenge was just like, hey, bring a beautiful girl to the island. By the way, there's this story about this princess in this castle. Whereas in the dub, Roshi basically just suggests like, hey, there's this princess over there. I need you to kidnap her and bring her back here, and then I'll take you on as a student.
This is out of character for Roshi.
It's not, but it is.
It's not, because this is something. I mean, I guess this would be in Roshi's playbook. He is a little woman. He is a perv.
Yes.
One of the original OG pervs of shonen, and it's a little bit hilarious. But if you watch the anime, read the manga, you know that he just wants a beautiful young girl.
Yeah,
that's been his sketch. If you're familiar with if you watch the first movie, you know his interaction with Bulma.
Yes,
would had you thinking otherwise in the second movie. But I guess Funimation, not gonna judge you, Funimation. I guess you had other things. I guess you wanted to go straight into the point. the movie is called Sleeping Princess. You wanted to get straight to it, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah, and yeah, they definitely do get straight to it for sure, man. Because like right as soon as that's over, they're on their way to that castle. But aside from just talking about what happens in the movie, even staying on the dub, I know we didn't talk about the cast so much last time, but I watched this in Japanese and in English, and I gotta say the cast in this movie is solid, bro. Like this might be Christopher Sabat's best delivery of Yamcha.
Yeah, bro. He did his thing.
Yeah.
He did his thing.
It's a different voice. I want to say it's the same voice actress for Dende being Goku in this one.
Yeah.
Because
I don't want to butcher person's name. I know her name was her last name was Delgadillo. So she's she's from, and I believe she's from New York, my side of the woods.
nice.
She completed her degree and stuff in New York, but she did a good job with Goku. This is probably peak Funimation voice acting.
Yeah.
For Dragon Ball.
I'll say that for sure. Like all the voices sounded good. Well, for whatever reason though, like did you watch the Funimation dub?
Yeah, I watched the Funimation.
Did you notice the audio quality was weird?
Yeah.
Like it sounds like some characters are recording in a muffled mic, and then other characters are recording from a really clear one.
Yeah.
So like there's scenes where like Bulma's talking to Lucifer.
Yeah.
And Lucifer sounds clear as day, and Bulma sounds like she's talking to something like this.
Yeah, like she sounds like she's in the submarine.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So I did find that a little weird. Like there was definitely some issues with the production on Funimation side for this one. But those things aside, I really was a fan of how they made sure to sort of put a twist on how everything goes, right? Like they do wind up running into Launch on the island, but she's there to like steal the sleeping princess. And that leads to them being able to take her back to Roshi's. But this is really cool for presenting Krillin and Goku's rivalry. Like Krillin is ruthless in this movie, bro.
Krillin is a savage. My man committed murder. Well, he could have committed murder.
Yeah.
And he casually did not care. This
Krillin,
is a 13-year-old.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like he didn't give a damn, bro. He straight up tells Goku, hey man, just so you know, I'm not helping you at all in this race to that island. And I was like, oh damn. Like
okay, Krillin.
Yeah. He's definitely his early personality is
so good.
It's so much more rival based.
Yeah, it's so funny. And thing with Krillin reminds me of how they characterized Vegeta in a sense where they're gonna do and well they're gonna take the best course of action for themselves.
Yeah.
Krillin, he in Dragon Ball, he's not taking the hard way. He's going to take a shortcut. He's taking the easy way. My man's legitimately went on a bus, had a bento, by the way. Nice bento. Had a bento. Then hopped on a full bull to head to this castle. Meanwhile, your boy Goku's out here running like the actual training they were supposed to do. So that already shows you the difference between Goku and Krillin as a whole.
Yeah, dog. Krillin for sure is just like scheming at all times, bro. And I really, really dig that. Just in seeing that characterization for him.
Ultimate
Another part
optimist.
I really dug, like, and I will say this, right? As much as we will always discuss like major dub changes,
Yeah.
one that I really liked in this was where in the original Japanese version, when the whole crew sees Goku transform under the moonlight, they all act like they've never
They
seen it
never
before.
seen it. But Yamcha and Poor, they already know what's up.
Yeah.
So they know how to stop it.
And it's cool because it kind of makes you feel like the movies are in their own continuity, because this does really feel like it picks up right where the first movie left off.
Yep.
But in the dub, only Krillin questions Goku transforming. And I thought that was cool with adding a little bit of extra context to like saying like, hey, yeah, nah, like they've been on adventures before.
Yeah. Like,
but the dub kind of makes it fall in line more with the show.
Like that Funimation, you give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Y'all did right.
Yeah, man. You know, as much as every Funimation dub change always is really trying to add more context to what you're seeing on screen than maybe what needs to be there. You could tell somebody thought about it in this
one. And it worked out for the best. This
It
was
did.
a change where you can't have any. There's no complaints.
And really, just to give you a good look of the time in which this came out. Now, I know it's only a year later, but if you look at the Toei Cartoon Festival that this one was released with in July of '87, we had 3 other movies with Saint Seiya, Hikari Sentai Mask Man, and Chojinki Metalder. So, you know, if you know anything about me, boy, I love me some tokusatsu.
Yeah.
So they would have had me in the theater if I would have been able to see a Super Sentai movie, a Metal Heroes movie, a Saint Seiya movie, and Dragon Ball all in one go.
This is a heavy hitter. This is a heavy hitter. You know, like how we have seasons in anime now.
Yeah.
This festival season, banger.
Yes, dog.
This was a banger.
I can guarantee you, I would have gone to see this like 2-3 times.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I know that Saint Seiya was fire.
Oh, hell yeah. And those are 2 of the most like popular tokusatsu series of the 80s. So, and for those who don't know, tokusatsu basically imagine Japanese Power Rangers, right? Like that's what Super Sentai is. I'm being very generally loose with this because you know, even Godzilla and stuff, Ultraman, stuff like that is tokusatsu. But if you want to get a good idea of what that was like, so the thing about this is you're a kid, you get to see a Dragon Ball movie and a Power Rangers movie in the same showing, dog.
It's doesn't get much better than that.
That's what I'm saying, man. It goes right back to what you were telling us earlier. Toei was for the kids, dog.
Yeah, they were giving, like I said, Toei knows best for the kids. They know entertainment. They're going to attempt to give you the best form of entertainment.
Yeah. And they were really in their bag back in the late 80s for sure, dude. Yeah. Outside of all of those things we covered, really there's not a lot of puns or anything as far as the naming goes. You know, you've got the villain, his name is Lucifer.
Yeah,
it's obvious where that comes from.
That's clearly.
Yeah, you know, a vampire named Lucifer, a scary name, obviously, right? His butler is just Shitsuji, butler.
A
So
butler.
it is who it is, you know. And then the main demon they fight, his name is Gastel, you know, ghastly, right?
Yeah.
I really thought it was cool too with Gastel, how he had a very like ancient Chinese theme to his design.
Yeah.
And instead of like riding on a cloud like Goku, he rode on fireballs under his feet. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, that was dope.
And one last thing before we wrap up this little brief discussion about movie 2. What was up with them demons using guns?
Yeah, bro. I need for them to explain. Why are demons using guns?
Why do demons even need guns? Where do they get them from? Because it was clear that they couldn't leave nowhere under sunlight. So, like, are they going at nighttime to go rob people of their guns? What's going on?
Do they have shipping? Are they shipping guns? Is this what's going on?
They were getting Amazon gun deliveries, dog.
In the 80s.
Yeah, man. Like, bro, like these clearly Lucifer had money, bro. Because he had a whole
butler.
He had a whole butler. He had a gemstone called the Sleeping Princess that could supposedly destroy the sun.
Come on.
I mean,
he had his resources. Clearly, still honestly, it still don't explain why he got a gun. But
yeah. But you know, I'm just saying, bro. Like the demon army, they could have, if they had showed up at the right time, they could have gave Red Ribbon some trouble, dog.
Yeah, for sure.
They could have gave Red Ribbon some trouble, man.
For sure, they would have to probably call General Tao real quick.
real fast, dog.
Real quick.
They would need Tao Pai Pai's help for sure, dog. And you know, speaking of Tao Pai Pai and the Red Ribbon Army, we now have the third and sadly final Dragon Ball movie, A Mystical Great Adventure. Now, this one here, just to give you a brief synopsis of that, the Emperor of Mifan, Chaozu, is hosting the next Tenkaichi Budokai, but can't find his lost doll, Ran Ran.
Can you believe that?
Chaozu, the Emperor?
An emperor?
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Blow up boy? Kamikaze himself? This is nuts.
Now, while that's happening, Master Shin and Tao Pai Pai are searching for the Dragon Balls, and they promise to use them to locate Ran Ran. But are they actually planning to take over Mifan? And can Goku and his friends save Chaozu before it's too late?
We know. Come on. It's Dragon Ball.
I mean, you know, the question has to be asked, otherwise the movie wouldn't be here.
Yeah, of course.
But you're right. It's Dragon Ball, so we know how this is going to end.
We know what it is.
Now, D, I know for you, you said Sleeping Princess in Demon's Castle is Devil's Castle is your favorite Dragon Ball movie, right?
Yeah,
This one is my favorite. Hands down. This is my favorite Dragon Ball movie of the original 3, dude. Ooh. It's a retelling of the Red Ribbon Army and 22nd Budokai Tenkaichi arcs told in the original Dragon Ball series and manga. But it's like an alternate world that it happens. Just like I said, these are all prototypes for how Dragon Ball Z movies go, right? So you've got like a political social standing with Tien and Chaozu. You've got the existence of his empire and this world's martial arts tournament being hosted on his island. Huge vibes of Enter the Dragon by Bruce Lee here.
Again with these Bruce Lee refs.
Yes, dog.
The homages are real.
Yeah, that Kung Fu homage in Dragon Ball, man, it's tried and true there, dog. It permeates the entire series, I would say, man. Like, Goku's whole entire journey being based off of, like, old Chinese stories, like, really, really fits.
Yeah, it does.
I would say this one was probably one of them ones I would have gone to see in theaters a few times too, because this was part of the 1998 Toei Cartoon Festival. Also, this movie released in 2000 in the US, so this is right when Funimation is getting into their bag. I could figure this was probably an easier movie for them to release because, you know, you've got familiar characters like Tao Pai Pai, Master Shin, Tien, and Chaozu. But as far as the other movies that Toei showed with this, Tatakai Ramen Man, old school Shonen Jump manga, Bikuriman, and Kamen Rider Black.
The GOAT.
Dog, listen, they would have had me in the building for those two multiple times that summer, dog.
Yo, this was a hot summer.
Hell yeah. They gave, again, Toei knows what they're bringing. I know we were going to sound like a broken damn record with the amount of times we're going to discuss this over the entire season about these Dragon Ball movies. But Toei really knew what they were doing when they would release these movies, man. Like, they did it in such a way where they don't have to worry about it standing alone, even though it would have.
Yeah.
Tell me, when it comes to this entire take on the Red Ribbon Army saga and the 22nd Budokai Tenkaichi, or Tenkaichi Budokai, my fault. How do you feel about it?
I'm kind of indifferent on it.
Yeah,
though it's enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this particular arc, this retelling arc, I prefer the original.
Okay,
it's
yeah,
of course. Like, obviously, I'm not expecting the movie to outdo or even compare to the original, but because I hold the original Red Ribbon Army arc so high,
yeah,
for me to watch the movie, this movie in particular, it's like like they did their thing. They did their thing. Trust me, they did. But this is the one movie where it's like, and it's funny because it's really an alternate retelling. I mean, again, Emperor Chaozu, really?
Yeah.
It's interesting in there. It's interesting, but for me, I don't know why. It just did not hit with me.
Man,
It's just crazy.
Listen, man, I'm glad that there is at least one movie where we're like, yo, we just got different vibes on it. And that's what we'll always have on Subslide Dubslide. To be honest with all of you guys, we're not here to say like, hey, I agree, right? Like, there's gonna be things that we disagree on, and that's perfectly natural, right?
This ain't that.
Yes.
This is not going to be, hey, I enjoyed that. Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, man. No. And it's all good because I understand where you're coming from at the same time, because not only is there a retelling of the Red Ribbon Army saga, but the 22nd martial arts tournament. And like, let's be real, dude. That's a legendary anime arc in general.
It's really hard. It's really hard to compete with that.
And this movie knew they couldn't. So that's why I'm glad they go about it the way that they
do. In a sense, the way how it was a smart approach.
Yeah.
To be honest, because you can't. Man, you really, if you rush the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, you're going to botch it. You're going to botch it.
Yeah.
So I did like the approach. It's just it can't. I know in my head that it's a retelling and it's not going to be accurate, and it's not even trying to compare to the original. But I hold this arc. I hold these two arcs that they try to smash together. I hold them too high of a regard for me to care about the movie like that.
I get you. I do.
I will say I did like the rail.
When Arale shows up when she made her cameo.
That was cool.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, Arale's cameo is really great. Because it's very similar to her Dragon Ball cameo, where it's just like, hey, look at this invincible robot girl, but like, instead this time she's right there in the thick of it with Goku as he's doing his fight with Tao Pai Pai towards the end. Just saves his ass basically. Outside of Goku being more confident in himself towards the end there, but I really did like this. Even when we're comparing the dub to the sub, there wasn't really a lot different, man.
Yeah, it was really. This might be their most accurate.
Yeah,
accurate representation.
Yeah, it was. It was. There was only like one small thing I noticed, and that's so throughout the course of the movie, Emperor Chaozu, the Emperor of Mifan, he has Shin and Tao Pai Pai basically using him to get the Dragon Balls. And at the end, Chaozu's army had turned against him because Emperor Shin and Tao Pai Pai basically had them under their control. And at the end, Chaozu in Japanese says, "Hey y'all, it's good. I forgive you." In the dub, he goes, "You're fired."
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Like,
That's hilarious.
different, bro. And it's like I I couldn't even come up with for context that makes more sense that way. Like it just literally has Chaozu just like y'all screwed me over. Fuck you.
Yeah, he's not taking that bullshit.
Yeah,
Not forgiving. He ain't forgetting. So.
And honestly, he could have stood with a little bit of that backbone in the Japanese version, man. You know,
Yeah,
could have stood to have a little bit of that backbone. But what I really liked about this, before I go further into what I like, something I did find weird. So the movies, like I said earlier, Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle 100% picks up where movie 1 left off, right? Like it ends with Curse of the Blood Rubies. Goku's freed their village, and damn it, Siri. And then he's already met Master Roshi, and he says he wants to go train with him. At the beginning of the second movie, Goku's on the island. He's now about to start training, right? So like we can put those two together. You can watch them in one go and not question anything. You get to this movie though. You remember how in the first movie, Gourmet's army was a stand-in for Pilaf's gang?
Yep.
Well, who are the first 3 characters you see in this movie?
You see the legend himself, Emperor Pilaf, with his cronies.
And it's like
what?
So they do exist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, okay. Like, they might not have had like the same backstory in this, but just the fact that like they built the radar and that's who Master Shin took it from. I just thought that was pretty hilarious. It was like, okay, I mean, yeah, let's tie in how they're connected from the show, but outside of that, that is the only time you ever see them in any 3 of these movies, and I thought it was pretty fucking hilarious.
Yeah, very confused as to why they just randomly do Brother Man Pilaf in there.
Yeah,
and you already told me about this king that's been defeated, but hey,
goofy stuff, man. But I mean, in the long run, it works because they don't have the biggest impact on the whole movie from that point on. But just go back what I did, like every character that's from the show that shows up in this movie has such a similar portrayal to how they are in the shows, even if they change them differently. Like General Blue working for the Mifan Empire instead of Red Ribbon, I thought was hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Even Sergeant Metallic showed up, and it's like, y'all got androids, and it's just like, no big deal, huh?
No big deal. What's an android? It's not. What's an android?
Who's Ader?
What is an Ader?
It's great, man. Like it blends in more iconic scenes from the show in this movie than any other ones had, right? Like you've got like Tao Pai Pai kicking off the pillar and flying off of it, right? You've got Goku going to Korin's tower and shit like that. But it still keeps everything original. Like how Chaozu is being an emperor that's manipulated behind the scenes, very much like The Last Emperor, the Chinese film, right? The Red Ribbon Army is basically just his nation's army.
It's just me.
Kind of all these little stand-ins. And even when it comes to the tournament itself, right? Like the country of Mifan is hosting the tournament on their island, very Last Dragon-esque. But when it gets to the tournament, it pulls a Dragon Ball Z on us, and shit just stops. Like at the beginning.
Immediately.
And I feel like That's because they realize, like we mentioned, there's no way you can compete with the
Yo,
22nd martial arts
you
tournament.
can't. You can't. You can't.
So, instead of them trying to set up all of that, they go right into, Goku's troubles with Mifon and him having to fight Tao Pai Pai because Bora gets killed. Like all the same sort of things happen from the show, but they go about it in a different context that makes it original enough if you've never seen the show, while still giving you really familiar beats if you're used to it. I thought there was really original ideas for this story too, like Goku throwing his Dragon Ball into the ocean with the other ones to summon the dragon. Pretty neat. We ain't never seen nothing like that since
cool.
then. Yeah. Really just a really unique take on those events in the series, right? With those two arcs without trying to overtake them. There weren't very many puns in this one. Like Mifon is just the Mandarin reading of rice, which they go right back to using a pun for rice a couple of years anyway. But yeah, man, like that kind of stuff here was really cool. That's really it when it comes to the. We would have to start reviewing the movie to go into any further, but I would say definitely if you're gonna watch any of these, this is Jay's opinion. Watch this one. Watch this one. To me, it was the most fun. It was the most fun.
It got the J cosign, so it's good. It's just not better than the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai or the better part. And in my humble opinion, I think the second one kicks his ass. But
I would say one thing about the second one. Clearly, Toei loved that second movie because the first Dragon Ball Z movie feels so much like the second Dragon Ball movie.
Yep.
And we'll go into that in the next episode because in episode 2 of Subs Lie Dubs Lie, we will be covering Dead Zone, the world's greatest, and the Tree of Might.
Whoop whoop.
So I hope y'all are ready to start getting into the meat of this because we gonna dive real deep in. Bring a knife, bring a steak knife. We cooking.
We cooking, brother, man. We cooking, y'all. Y'all make sure y'all tune in.
Absolutely, man.
I love it.
This is we're bringing y'all the knowledge for these first 3. It doesn't really go into too depth about too much, but we'll start going into more production information because then while these set the prototype for how Dragon Ball Z goes about their movies, they made sure that they were different by each movie being similar to an arc in the show, but they go left in their own sort of way,
super left,
to where it's like, okay, they're not giving me the same beats from the show for this. So really looking forward to getting deep into those, man. But before we sign off, dude, I want to ask you something, man.
Shoot.
Seeing how these 3 movies went, where they were really successful with retelling story arcs. Do you think that a movie about the 23rd martial arts tournament with Piccolo Jr. and the story of Piccolo Daimao would have worked as movies?
Whew. That's a tough question. I think you can most definitely have a movie done on the Piccolo Daimao arc. As for the 23rd tournament, I think that would need its own little movie / even a little OVA special. I don't think you can do what you did in 3 and try to combine these arcs because, like, literally, in my humble opinion, Piccolo Daimao, like, this is when the series really, really turns to something completely different. Like Dragon Ball Well, I'll say, well, when Tao Pai Pai kills Bora in the original, it's when shit goes left
Yes.
and things get like the stakes really rise in Dragon Ball. But Piccolo, Daimao, like folks that you know, the original, like the cast that you love, they're dead. They're getting killed. They're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead. Dragon gone. The stakes are absolutely high. I don't think you could just jumble up Piccolo, Daimao and that tournament in one movie. They would have to make separate movies. I think it's possible that you could do a Piccolo Daimao movie, and you could do a 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai movie. But I think you would have to do a little spin on the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai tournament.
You know, that's something I believe too, is that they would have worked as two separate movies. But the movie about Piccolo Jr., it would have had to have been like this one, where we're not spoiling the tournament. Some shit goes left right in the middle of it, and then maybe Goku and Piccolo fight in that one too, right? So that way they have a different epic fight.
Yeah, facts.
Or hell, even Goku, as I mean, considering we didn't see this till Dragon Ball Z, Goku fighting Piccolo, fighting someone else. So it's different from when they team up, right? We could have some sort of like battle where Piccolo's going about world domination, but somebody else is trying that shit and he's not with it, but they don't team up because Piccolo wasn't exactly good at this point, right?
Yeah,
something like that could have worked. I honestly, I spent a good amount of time this week thinking, like, what would that have been like? Because one could say, if they had continued with that sort of streak of retelling arcs, then every Dragon Ball Z movie probably would have been like that too.
And we wouldn't have as much. We wouldn't really have as much. We wouldn't have as much movies.
Toei was still gonna do them double year festivals.
Yeah, they still go. Yeah.
You know,
it'd be a lot of stretching.
It would be a whole lot of stretching. It would be a whole lot of, and now the story is much different, right?
Yeah.
But I will agree that 13 movies retelling all of Dragon Ball Z would have been a bit much.
A bit much. You would have to be making. You would have to cut 4 to 5 episodes and make that a movie, like the Android arc. Let's say you make a movie like that. You wouldn't have to make 19 and 20 a whole movie.
Yeah.
And then afterwards make another movie regarding 16, 17, and 18. That's a lot. It's really a lot.
And that's why instead they just gave us 13, 14, and 15.
They did the right thing.
Yeah.
They did the right thing.
Yeah, they did. Because they were like, nah, after this, y'all gonna fight a Super Saiyan. Fuck all that. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. We just finished Dragon Ball.
Yes.
We even talk about a Saiyan. Saying what? What's a Saiyan?
Yeah, what is a Saiyan at this point?
What's a Saiyan?
What is a Saiyan? Exactly. So to wrap all this up, man, it's been a really good time just watching these 3 movies. It really took me back a bit to like feelings I hadn't even had before. Because I don't believe I've ever watched a great mystical adventure as an adult. So it could be recency bias for me as far as why that was my favorite. But hey, listen, subs lie, the dubs lie, we don't. So I gotta be honest, man. I gotta be honest. It might be some recency bias in my head, but I mean, I did like all of them. They're a fun watch. I would say, y'all, if y'all ever got a free afternoon, if you didn't get a chance to watch before this week's episode, no problem. They're 45 minutes each. Give them a run through.
Give it a watch, man.
And
give the second one 2 watches.
And at the very least, you know, if you're somewhat familiar with the early Dragon Ball, but not that much, this is a new way to get the gist of it. Without, I mean, I would say once you get to this movie, you better go ahead and watch them 2 arcs for real.
Yeah,
but
if you ain't never gave Dragon Ball a chance or a day, like, yeah, you better.
Yeah.
What are you doing, fam? Let me
Listen,
stop.
you're living wrong, man. You're living wrong. Funimation had us all living wrong.
Yeah, don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the trap. Don't be like these folks telling you it's okay. You could skip. Never be that person.
No, sir.
It's never okay to skip.
It's
never.
not. It's okay if that's the childhood you were given, but you have the internet now.
You have the internet now, my boy. Or my anybody. Yo, give it a watch. Give it a chance. It's not gonna hurt you. And they told you as a kid, don't skip. Don't skip. Don't skip in line. Don't skip series. Don't skip Dragon Ball.
Hey, please. My boy coming out here with the lessons. That's right. Don't skip in line and don't skip Dragon Ball. It's that easy. It's that easy, baby.
If you don't want to watch the anime, just read it. I know you got $2 spared up. Go ahead and go log up on Viz on that Viz site and go crazy.
That's right. The Shonen Jump app is available on all our phones, man. And take it from Uncle D and Uncle J, man. You might learn something new.
For real. You will. And you'll enjoy it.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying.
It's not garbage. Come on.
But hey, we ain't gonna preach to y'all. Y'all know it's out there, man. Go check these 3 movies out. Trust me. There was not one miss in any of these. I would even say watch the dub. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're not going to lose too much in doing it for this. As you heard us go over, the dub changes here were very minor. I mean, they're kind of funny, but really minor. So I can't even give you a like, hey, no, I prefer this one over that one. Watch it however you want to, but they are really good watches. So with all that said, man, we're really glad to have gone over these movies with y'all. Next time on Subs Live, Dubs Live, we will be going over the first 3 Dragon Ball Z movies, like we said. Yes. Dead Zone, World's Strongest, and Tree of Might. So if you got the time, man, watch those over the course of the next week. Get that feeling in, man. Restore the vibe. And we'll come down to break down the stuff that wasn't so obvious for you in it. Y'all good with that? Bet. I heard you say bet. I know y'all are good with it.
You agreed with it.
We heard you.
I know you smiled. You smiled. I know you smiled. Go ahead, man.
We sent the Toei spies. We know, dog.
We are your big brother.
We're your anime big brother, dog. Yeah. But hey, man, remember, like always, dog, subs lie, dubs lie. We don't. Yeah. It's J and D here, man. I'm Versace at Versace Vegeta on Twitter. Oh, okay, at Versace Vegeta _ on Twitter. Same as IG, same as my Twitch. Pull up, man. It's always a good time.
You can find me on Twitter.com at Brother D, add an extra E at the D, and we'll be great. Let's be friends.
Yeah, man. We're ready to talk shop with y'all. Hey, thanks for joining in as always. Y'all take care of yourselves, man. Peace.
Good, man. Later.